This summer, the sunlight wasn't enough to hide the shadows. As the days stretched long and hot, and the nights filled with the gentle hum of insects and the faint glow of fireflies, stories began to spread, stories that lived in the spaces between light and dark. Some were whispered across back porches, others passed through hurried texts from one trembling hand to another. These were stories that kept people awake at night, stories that made their phones buzz in the quiet, stories that reminded them of the thin line between safety and fear. Tonight, you'll hear 5 true tales from this summer. 5 stories that remind us when the night falls, you're not supposed to watch this alone. So turn on your lights, settle in, and remember, sometimes the shadows are closer than you think. Ohio, a small town, quiet and familiar, where the streets are lined with old maples and the heat of the day lingers on the sidewalks. Emily, 17, walks home after summer camp, her backpack heavy with half-finished crafts and the scent of sticky sunscreen. She follows her usual path, past the cluster of mailboxes, past the empty playground, past the lonely house at the end of the lane, the house where Mr. Harris lives, alone. For years, Mr. Harris's house has been a fixture of Emily's route. The curtains always drawn, the yard overgrown, the windows reflecting nothing but sky. But tonight, as dusk falls and the air cools, Emily notices something different. From the window nearest the street, a faint whisper drifts out, fragmented, like someone speaking underwater. She slows, heart thumping. Behind the glass, a flickering yellow light pulses, then dims. Emily walks faster, her sneakers slapping against the asphalt. The feeling of eyes watching her prickles at her skin, and she glances back, just once, toward Mr. Harris's house. The porch is empty, the light gone. She shakes her head, trying to dispel the unease, and turns onto her own driveway. But when she reaches her front door, she freezes. It's ajar. Just a crack, but enough. She'd locked it that morning, she's sure of it. For a moment, she stands on the threshold, listening. The rooms beyond are silent, the air inside cool and still. She steps inside, calling for her mother. No answer. The house is empty. Her phone buzzes, a text notification, but it isn't a message. It's a video. No sender, just a timestamp. Emily hesitates, then taps play. The video shows her walking past Mr. Harris's house. The angle is strange, filmed from inside as if someone is watching her through the window. She sees herself, tired and weary, glancing back over her shoulder. But in the reflection on the glass, something is wrong. She sees her own face, pale, eyes wide, standing in her bedroom behind her. In the video, she's outside, but in the reflection, she's already inside. Emily drops the phone, her breath catching. The silence of the house feels heavier now, pressing in on her from all sides. She checks every room, every closet, every corner, but she finds nothing, except the door, swinging gently as if someone has just slipped through. If that first story sent chills down your spine, remember, you don't have to face the dark alone. Subscribe to Don't Watch Alone, share with your friends, and keep your lights on. Because when the night knocks, you won't be the only one who hears it. Northern California. The air is thick with the promise of rain, clouds rolling in over pine-covered hills. On a stormy night, a group of storm chasers, amateurs with radios and flashlights, gather near an abandoned AM station. The building is skeletal, its tower rising like a lightning rod against the sky, rusted wires trailing from broken windows. As thunder rolls overhead, their equipment picks up an odd signal, a voice, faint and trembling, cutting through the static. The broadcast is erratic, the words barely audible. They're coming behind the trees. I'm scared. Look at the lights. The storm chasers glance at each other, uneasy. The voice is coming from the old station, but nobody's been inside for years. The signal wavers, then cuts out, leaving only the hiss of static. The next morning, curiosity outweighs caution. They return to the station, pushing open the heavy door to the control room. Mud streaks across the floor, fresh, dark, smeared in chaotic patterns. The console is spattered, buttons sticky with dirt, but there are no footprints, no tracks leading away from the room. Just the mud, as if someone or something had dragged itself in, then vanished. They search the building, calling out, finding nothing but broken glass and tangled wires. The woods beyond are silent. The storm passed, but the signal, whatever it was, never returns. Eastwood High School, graduation week. The auditorium is empty, chairs stacked in neat rows, the stage flooded with pale light from the overhead spots. Mark, a senior, is alone, testing the microphone for the ceremony. He sets up his phone, recording himself as he jokes into the mic, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. Later, at home, Mark watches the video. At first, everything seems normal. His laugh, the creak of the wooden floor, the hum of the lights. But as he steps away from the mic, something changes. Behind him, in the seats, a shadow stretches across 3 rows. A figure, head tilted at an unnatural angle. No hands, no legs, just a distorted shape flickering at the edges. Mark pauses the video, squinting. He swears he'd looked back during the recording. No one was there. The auditorium was empty. He turns up the volume. Faint footsteps echo in the background, uneven and slow, like someone dragging their feet. The sound stops abruptly, as if the figure has sat down or disappeared. Mark can't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone in the auditorium, that somewhere between the lights and the shadows, something watched him. And in the video, it still does. London, an old apartment block built before the war, its bricks blackened by rain and time. Leah, new to the city, moves into a 3rd-floor flat, eager for independence. The walls are thick, the windows rattling in the wind, the pipes groaning in the night. For the first few nights, Leah sleeps well. The city outside a lullaby of sirens and distant laughter. But then, whispers begin to seep through the wall behind her bed. Soft, rhythmic, like someone breathing against stone. She presses her ear to the plaster, straining to hear. Sometimes it's words, sometimes just the rush of air. She tells herself it's the wind, or rats in the pipes. But one night, as rain lashes the windows and thunder shakes the building, the whispers grow louder. They turn to weeping, not soft, but sharp and piercing, a child's cry echoing through the walls. Leah snaps on the light, heart racing. On the damp wall, water stains bleed through the paint, twisting into shapes. As she watches, the stains shift, forming the outline of a face. A child's face, eyes wide and hollow, mouth open as if screaming. The eyes seem to glow, reflecting the light back at her. She backs away, unable to look away. The weeping fades, replaced by silence. The face remains, watching, unblinking until morning. Iowa, Route 6, endless fields, stretch beyond the highway, corn rustling in the night breeze. Pedro, a truck driver, pulls over for a short rest. His GPS shows no rest stops ahead, just miles of empty road. He leaves the engine idling, AC humming, radio tuned to an oldies channel. Outside, fog drifts across the asphalt. Headlights from distant cars flaring and vanishing in the mist. Pedro rubs his eyes, exhausted, watching the darkness beyond his windshield. Then, on the roadside, he sees her, a woman in a white dress, standing perfectly still. Her hair is long and wet, plastered to her face. Pedro blinks, unsure if she's real. He looks away, then back. She's gone, swallowed by the fog. He reaches for the door, intending to step out and check, but his hand freezes on the latch. The door is unlocked. He's always careful, always locks up. But tonight, it's open. Pedro shivers, the air inside the cab suddenly colder. He checks the mirrors, the empty road behind him, the silent fields. The woman doesn't reappear, but the feeling of being watched lingers, heavy and suffocating. He drives on, leaving the fog and the memory behind. But every time he stops, he checks the locks, just to be sure. If one of these stories made you shiver, remember, you're never truly alone. The night holds secrets, and the shadows listen. Subscribe to Don't Watch Alone. Share if you dare, and hit the bell. Because sometimes the dark speaks first, before you even hear it. As you sit in your room, lights flickering, the hum of summer drifting through the window, remember these 5 stories. Emily's reflection, trapped between inside and out. The storm chasers, chasing a voice that was never meant to be heard. Mark, alone in a crowd of shadows. Leah, haunted by a face that formed from rain and pain. Pedro, stalked by a woman who vanishes into fog. They are reminders that the world is wider and stranger than it seems. That even on the brightest summer days, the darkness waits, patient and silent. That the line between safety and fear is thin and easily crossed. So keep your phone close, your doors locked, your lights on. Share these stories with friends, because the only thing worse than being alone in the dark is not knowing what's out there. And if you ever hear a whisper in the wall, see a shadow in an empty room, or notice a face in a reflection that shouldn't be there, remember, the stories may end, but the night never does. Thank you for joining us for these 5 true, scary stories from this summer. Until next time, don't watch alone.